Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Champion Select here as we're jumping into game number 3 of the day. I am Clayton Captain Flowers Reigns, joined by Isaac, Azael, Cummings, Bentley. 2 out of 3 of the voices that were here for the last time. C9 and TSM went up against each other. We're giving Kobe a little break this time, but we got you covered.
He's slacking.
All right, we're going to have to make sure that Kobe gets a stern talking to over this one for not being here for this game, but TSM v Cloud9 should impress nonetheless. Let's see how these bans are going to play out here as supports. And Flex Picks getting a little bit of hate early on as Sejuani will also join them. The Rise, Yuumi, and Sona all banned away there. Cloud9 does not want to be playing against any of the TSM Sonateric shenanigans.
Yeah, going to be really interested to see what sort of a style TSM in particular are bringing out, because Spring had felt like they settled on, yeah, we are playing that kind of MSI type strategy. We are playing heavily Flex Picks, roaming, aggression. That had really been how they were snowballing and winning a lot of their games. But, you know, come here into Summer Split, it had felt like a step back, a lot of scaling. Yesterday, perhaps a little bit of a different story with the TF, but so many Zillion games. You know, they had the Azir Ezreal draft against TL. So I want to see, are they going to go back to that aggressive playstyle?
And one thing I'm immediately noticing is 2 out of 3 of these first phase bans from Cloud9 are targeted towards that jungle with Sejuani and Olaf, really trying to put some pressure onto Grig, who, as we've said plenty of times so far throughout this split, is sharing time with Acadian right now as TSM figures out which guy they want to have be that starter.
Yeah, it's very interesting, and this is the first week we have had one of those junglers playing both of the games. You certainly are expecting, if Grig does have a good game, for that to continue for TSM, based on what we have seen thus far, but Cloud9 going to be grabbing up that Irelia, and we did see yesterday the Gragas Yasuo combo. Gragas will be locked in fairly early on here. Hecarim still is available for TSM if they want to go back to that strategy they had been using a lot in those earlier weeks. You know, we have seen Hecarim come out at least 3 times for TSM, and something along the lines of Hecarim Zillion is available if they want to go that route.
But of course, because the Sona's banned away, the Sonateric, like double support style of bottom lane isn't there to super juice the horse, get it really going, so it's that massive just 1v9 brick wall charging into the enemy team. But
all right,
them are going to grab their bottom lane. Both members locked in there. It's Nautilus and Sivir.
Yeah, 2 straight days we are going to get Gragas Yasuo as well for C9.
Yep.
So going right back to this strategy against TSM, this time with Svenskeren piloting the Gragas. You have to remember, Blabber was in yesterday, did perform very well and had a lot of experience playing this sort of a setup because they use it heavily in Cloud9 Academy team. Where Blabber was coming up from. So we'll have to see how Svenskeren and Nisqy are able to pull this off, because this is something where you need to be very proactive. You want to be playing very aggressively, making plays with the Gragas around your solo laners who are both looking to play up in their opponent's face.
And I really like watching these kind of drafts play out, and I'm glad we get to see a team like Cloud9 do them. This reminds me of the kind of draft that you'd see in a region like the LPL that's super bloodthirsty, and everybody's always looking to team fight and win the game like that. A lot of times you see North American teams sort of afraid to make those riskier decisions, especially in drafts, because it puts you in a spot where if you fall behind, you're pretty stuck. But Cloud9, they're confident in what they can do.
They certainly are, and they always kind of have been that team that people point to and say, hey, you know, North America, not all our teams are like that, right? Not all our teams are going to be passive. We do have the ones that are willing to take the risky drafts, that make those aggressive plays. And that is often why Cloud9 is credited for having success internationally as well. When you think back to all their world success, certainly often has been on the back of creative picks, aggressive play, and never kind of backing down from those 60-40s.
Well, we're going to see more Flex banned away from Cloud9 in Akali. The Jax also paying a lot of respect to Broken Blade up there in the top side, trying to keep the Irelia or the Yasuo away from that matchup. We're going to see double AD carry bans from TSM, though, keeping Sneaky off of the safe options of the Ezreal and the Xayah that can get out of some of the dive.
Yeah, definitely the case. We'll be very interested to see. I think we might get a mage here from Sneaky, given that their draft so far is so physical damage heavy, that it is, you know, 2 physical damage solo laners. They are saving their marksman pick for last. That really is leading me to believe that we could get something, you know, a little bit special coming out here from Cloud9 in that bot lane. And I think the Jax ban was great from Cloud9. It's a good matchup into both the Irelia and the Yasuo. You know what else is great into this team? You have a team where every one of the members in there can dash. Poppy is going to make that so difficult for them to actually team fight into. Either way, you're going to be answering someone in the side lane who's going to be dealing physical damage, Irelia or the Yasuo. You can be stacking early armor, you know, really becoming very, very disruptive to the team fight. And I think Skarner makes that even more difficult. Like, this is just such an incredibly tough team to actually fight into. So already I feel like Cloud9 may be relegated to side lanes, maybe trying to win, through those one-on-ones, two-on-ones with the Gragas.
Cloud9 are contemplating a couple of different options here,
Okay.
locking in the Varus. So it is all physical damage on the side of Cloud9, with the exception of Varus being able to proc his passives.
I wonder if there's any small chance that we get the old school AP Varus build. Now, this is something that we haven't been seeing for quite a while, but I do think if you are going to draft this sort of team into what TSM has, and you go standard, AD, maybe they're saying, hey, we can't team fight anyway, so who cares? Just draft a strong 3-man squad, a strong kind of 2v2 to wave clear and then play through side lanes. That may be the answer, but I do think Cloud9 will heavily struggle in a 5v5. Sure, Gragas is a source of AP damage, but against a tank, you just build HP against that. You don't actually have to go towards MR. Gragas cannot kill a Poppy who has a Randuin's and a Dead Man's Plate. That's not going to happen in a team fight. So I do think TSM have set themselves up very, very well for the 5v5. You have 4 melee champions plus a Sivir to speed them up, to get them in, and Cloud9 have got to get things done in the 1v1s, in the 2v2s during those side lane fights.
And if there's one team in North America that I would put that on, it would be Cloud9, to be able to execute on the proper split push, to make things happen in a way that they can play around having this bad 5v5 situation. You've talked about it before explicitly with making sure you have easy to play win conditions, making sure you can execute on your comp, and now we're going to see how these two teams match up.
What the right play is, we pull the trigger.
Turn up Broken Blade a little bit. Not his chair, his microphone.
Can I get my foot rest?
Hit the Nexus, guys.
No, we win this. Swap
Okay. Give me pressure mid, I can one-shot someone with an attack.
Boys, we have a simple game plan. Just kill them all.
Threatening my move. They should back up.
Yeah, we don't have to care about laning phase here.
Yo, can you stop screaming, man? I can't even hear.
Say so.
Shit on.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are on to Summer's Rift for TSM versus Cloud9. TSM rocking a pretty scary team fight composition. Cloud9 looking to find some 1v1s there in the side lane.
Crowd already getting involved, and they always are when it's C9 TSM. A bitter rivalry here between these two teams. So much history.
And as we heard from the players before this match kicked off, the last time they played was last split in a best-of-5 that went the distance. Ultimately, a reverse sweep from TSM. Cloud9 have got to just be itching for that revenge.
Yeah, they really do want to prove that they can take down TSM here today. And posture well, to try to go towards Worlds, right? That is the penultimate goal. That is that goal for all these teams in summer. And Cloud9, TSM both pegged as top contenders, as people that were expected to be going towards Worlds, and they really want to be showing that they can compete with the best and challenge for a championship.
And looking at Keystones, kind of getting ourselves ready with the amount of information that we have at level 1, you can see the lethal tempo on the Varus at least tells us that it's not going to be the super poke-heavy type of Varus, which honestly would be a pretty terrible build in this game, considering your opponents will be stacking so much armor. Lethality's not going to cover too much ground there. Everything else is pretty par for the course. Conqueror on both mid laners means those extended fights are going to get scrappy.
Yeah, you can see it's Conqueror Yasuo. Yesterday we saw Fleet. This is certainly to do with the fact that there is going to be a lot of armor being stacked. It's less about a pokey lane. When he was going up against the Rise yesterday, you had to deal with more harassment in that way. And Licorice and Broken Blade brawling, but Poppy can brawl very, very well with the Irelia in those early levels, especially. Can be difficult for the Irelia to be winning those trades back. You have the Buckler to proc the ranged grasp hit here with Poppy. You can harass with that, and in the bot side.
Nice hook onto Zeyzal there is going to buy TSM about half of Cloud9's support's health bar. Good early trade, taking advantage of the level 2.
Yeah, Cloud9 just too slow to actually back off with that level 2 coming in. They were backing off, but just a split second too late, and does cost Smoothie a potion and a fair bit of his health there. Rather, Zeyzal.
Bottom side, Zeyzal and Sneaky are going to be trying to just keep things farmed up down here, make sure Sneaky's relevant as the game goes on. Although Cloud9 has been looking good so far in the first couple weeks of play in this split, it hasn't really been the Sneaky and Zeyzal show.
No.
It's been much more about the top half of the map. Sneaky and Zeyzal just lose and then still do a good job later on in the game, but they're not the ones doing the heavy lifting, putting Cloud9 in the spot where they can win the game. So them falling behind a little bit early, taking a couple bad trades, being underneath the turret, not too big of a worrying sign.
Yeah, not the end of the world, you know, and a lot of that, to be fair to them, has been somewhat matchup dependent, right?
Yeah.
You know, playing, Ezreal Braum yesterday into Sivir Yuumi, that is going to be a bit of a nightmare matchup. They were losing very heavily as a result. Lissona Taric, you are expected to go behind, but the questions have been, are they going further behind than they should be? Are they losing by too much in some of these lanes? And that is where I think a lot of people kind of have been pointing. There are some worries, perhaps, about Cloud9's bottom lane, but Varus, Braum, strong 2v2. They should be set up pretty well here. And Nisqy, I think Svenskeren's behind him, yeah.
Svenskeren coming in over the wall, going to be a full-on 2v2. Nice wind wall to block away the Skarner stun onto Nisqy, who's going in even further onto Bjergsen first. Blood over to Cloud9, and they turn the play around.
Yeah, and that, honestly, I'm kind of surprised TSM even went for it. That, to me, seemed like such an obvious bait.
Yeah.
When you see the Skarner and you're running back towards him, you need to know that the jungler has got to be there. And they lost that 2v2 even though the body slam missed from Svenskeren, so that was not really close at all. TSM, I mean, look at this. When Nisqy turns back around, that's basically screaming, my jungler is here. Svenskeren not able to connect with the body slam, but Windwall actually blocking the Skarner E there. They're able to go forward with the Ignite and do get that kill onto Bjergsen. So TSM certainly overstaying their welcome and posturing too aggressively in that 2v2. That's 2 days, 2 first bloods for Nisqy's Yasuo.
If Skarner does not land his E into stun combo early on, he's pretty laughable in terms of what he does with damage. For those who aren't aware, Skarner's Q is one of the lowest base damage abilities in the game early on. It scales off of total AD, and he doesn't have a lot, so Grig couldn't contribute a whole lot to that fight. And now it's going to be a 3 versus 2. Bjergsen having to get himself away. Nice jump over to the crab to get himself away, but Grig now has to also hightail it out of here. Body slam coming after that Scorpion. Grig getting himself away, doesn't have to use the flash. Broken Blade makes his way down to ensure that one. Could still be a 3v3, but not something that TSM wants to fight right now. They'll disengage this.
Yeah, good job escaping there from TSM. Bjergsen able to dodge the Irelia stun and then use the chains on the scuttle to actually get some distance and get out of there. Certainly could have gone down otherwise, as he didn't have the flash from that earlier fight. So TSM will disengage, and the scuttle does go their way, so feeling pretty good about that. But you can already see what the game plan is going to be here from Cloud9 just based on this vision. I mean, just look at this line of wards here up in the topside river all along here. 3 pink wards already. You want to be seeing Svenskeren playing to that side. He wants to be ganking for those solo laners. They are the win condition, and they're setting up their vision around that.
And that's what you like to see. This is what I was talking about with playing around those win conditions. You don't just draft these 1v1 laners and then say, all right, guys, you got pretty solid 1v1ers, so go do some 1v1s. It'll be great. See you later at 20 minutes. You've got to look out for them. You got to nurture and protect those laners so they can grow up to be big and strong and then bonk the other guys on the side.
Yeah, especially when you're staring over at this composition that is going to be stacking so much armor. You can see Broken Blade already rushing towards that Sunfire Cape.
Yep.
That makes it so easy to actually keep your grasp active. Once you have the Bomby Cinder, you can actually stand on the outside of the wave and just have the burn on one minion to be constantly proccing that grasp and having it active so you can use it for those buckler trades. Makes it even more difficult, for Licorice in that 1v1. And I wouldn't be surprised to see him going, into kind of that 1v1 style fighting build, where you go Iceborne second, you have a lot of CDR, you have a lot of trading power, and that can keep you very relevant in the 1v1 for a super long time in the game. Becomes so tough for these dash-reliant champions to kind of win out on these trades.
Broken Blade will lose out on that trade a little bit there, but as you said, Sunfire Iceborne, kind of the 2-item trademark of Poppy against an AD-heavy team, makes the champion a real nightmare. Even coming into the fight, she can provide a surprising amount of damage in the mid-game. We start getting into those 5v5s potentially around the Grig pit. As Zven's going to be taken down to about 200 HP here in the bottom lane. Sneaky and Zeyzal getting the better of that trade, but no summoners for either side. Spin.
Yeah, he does have to be careful because Ignite is available. Both Sneaky and Zven quite low here. Those ricochets coming through and poking onto Sneaky. And Licorice doing a good job actually hitting these stuns and being able to trade as a result of that. Broken Blade just not quite able to get the stun onto the wall. If you do get that, it's going to be such a powerful trade because not only do you get the bonus damage from that, you are guaranteed to hit both parts of your Q. When you get that detonation, that is where a lot of the damage is from that Poppy.
Broken Blade is a player who, when he first showed up last split, I wasn't particularly impressed with his performance. He had a couple of rough games. Took him a while to really come online, but especially during their playoffs performance, I think he exploded. really made things work out, and now he's threatening Licorice, almost able to take him down, forces the flash over the wall as the Cloud9 top laner gets away.
Yeah, there you go. The power of that Poppy. They trade ults, and he gets the flash as Bjergsen was coming up on the roam. But even in the 1v1, Broken Blade easily would have had the solo kill had he not flashed out of there. So already showcasing that power. And Licorice does not have his TP, so he is going to have to run back to lane. I wouldn't be surprised if Svenskeren tried to hold the wave for him, but it doesn't look like he's actually going to head up there just yet. So Licorice will be losing quite a few of these minions just to the turret and bleeding out that XP and gold.
And the one thing we also have to keep our eyes on now, Azael, the fact that both junglers, level 6, flashes up, ults up, means it should be playmaking time for either side. And you can see TSM moving into the enemy jungle now, seeing if maybe there's an opportunity to find something. Picks are so easy when you've got Nautilus chain CC with a Skarner ulti behind it.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's such an easy way to actually set that up. Nautilus ult, Skarner ult out of that. You have the Skarner stun, the Nautilus root, the hook. You have the chains coming through, which is an additional stun from Sylas. So really, if you hit any of that, it is going to result in kind of that chain CC. Not quite able to give that blue buff over to Bjergsen, though. Grig did end up getting it, I believe, with the red buff, so a bit of a mistimed Q there from Bjergsen. But at the very least, they have taken that away from Svenskeren, and you're going to be happy to take those resources away from your opponents.
Yep, denial is better than nothing. But one thing about it, I guess it could be a silver lining there for Cloud9, is the fact that the blue would continue to go onto the jungler in this matchup. Yasuo doesn't really have much of a use for a buff that grants 2 stats he doesn't need. So Nisqy will continue being able to farm up just fine. Yeah, that's pretty much the biggest reason to give it over to him, golden experience.
My
so he doesn't
favorite
fall behind
stat.
Bjergsen there. Yeah, exactly. As Nisqy continues to farm up here in the mid lane. Berserker's Greaves completed as Bjergsen grabs himself the arm guard to go up against the Yasuo. Incredibly cost-effective item to buy as an AP champion into an AD matchup. Once it gets stacked, it is incredibly gold efficient. Lots of bang for your buck. Makes it so that opponent cannot easily all-in.
Yep, and if you do end up going out to a side lane, you would be against the Irelia. Guess what? It's great there too. And you can see Broken Blade really starting to harass Licorice under his turret there. Being able to mess around with him, utilizing the buckler, getting a charge, trying to disrupt some of that farming under turret. Broken Blade has tabbies plus this Bomby Cinder, and that's all you need. You just start walking him. You really can't just outstab him.
Go for it! Bring down the hammer! Broken Blade with the solo kill!
What a monster! I thought he was just looking to get him low, but he decides to commit for the flash there. Flash stun, they're going in mid lane.
Bjergsen gets himself out of that one. Nisqy thought he could set it up enough with Svenskeren's help. Not quite. So TSM will at least keep their mid laner alive, and they've got to be happy about what happened top.
Yeah, no kidding. When you actually commit your first ultimates mid lane there from the Gragas and Yasuo, you get nothing. And meanwhile, Poppy just solo kills the Irelia. Grig has got to be laughing, and it's going to be feeling really good for them. Here's Licorice going forward. Broken Blade just narrowly avoiding that. Then once you pick up the buckler, you cannot trade into this. He just barely broke the shield. And at this point, steps back, resets the tower, flash, stun, knows Licorice doesn't have it, knocks him down with the ultimate point and click there. Jensen and Yasuo enjoying that one from the crowd. That is rough. And it just gets worse now as the Irelia player. Like, when are you going to have fun in this matchup? Maybe at like 3 or 4 items, but even then it's...
Call me back at 35 minutes.
Yeah.
You know, because that's about going to be it. If you're getting solo killed by Poppy before the items are done, just wait until the the gauntlets come in. Bottom side, it's a flash spent by Sneaky to escape the engage from Zven and Smoothie. But top, we're going to have ourselves a battle here yet again. Svenskeren showing up saying, all right, 1v1 don't work. Let's try ourselves a 2v1. Broken Blade turned that one right back around, able to slam Svenskeren into the wall. Instead going to be bursted down himself. And Licorice grabs the kill.
Yeah, nicely done. And they're going for the dive now onto Sneaky. He has no flash.
Bottom side, Zeyzal's now the target. Smoothie taking up the turret. He sticks around a little bit too long. Has to use the hourglass to make sure he doesn't die. But Sneaky gets him in the heart.
Sneaky with the snipe there. They trade kills in the 3v2 dive. That is honestly very well played here by the C9 bottom lane. Gonna be feeling pretty happy about that one and getting that kill on the top side. Really good patience from Svenskeren to wait out the heroic presence. They're now trying to go for this Rift Herald. 3 members up here, but there is a TP coming in. Broken Blade has arrived.
We're not done yet. Bjergsen trying to take this fight a little bit further. Nisqy and Svenskeren both at half HP. It's a numbers advantage for Cloud9. They'll look to turn things back around, but Nisqy's going to be exploding. Bjergsen gets himself away, but Sneaky's made his way into the fight. Grig now looking to find the stun, able to grab one down. Now Svenskeren having to get himself away, can't do it. And TSM will grab 3, make it 4. Smoothie's
Cloud9 trying to take that Rift Herald, not able to finish it off though before TSM arrives, and then TSM at this point in the game, the completed Sunfire and Tabby's all ready for Broken Blade. He's going to be so ridiculously strong, and they're able to easily take this 3v3. Here's the dive again once more. Flashes were already traded between Smoothie and Nisqy. Nisqy with a great ultimate to peel and back off, creating a lot of space between himself, and then Smoothie having to use a stopwatch to reset the aggro. The turret goes on to Zven, and that was just a perfectly timed piercing arrow there from Nisqy to get the kill. And as you can see, Nisqy fairly low, Svenskeren fairly low. They do decide Licorice cannot get out, so let's try to turn here. The ultimate comes in from Yasuo, Gragas, but the stopwatch buying time for Bjergsen's. TP's coming in from everyone. Grig arrives, Nisqy comes in, Zven arrives as well with his TP. Both of the marksmen do come in, and Zven has his flash available. Nisqy had already blown his on the bottom side, so he just gets chased down and taken out. TSM out to a huge lead early on. With that Rift Herald, they can grab another turret potentially, and really would be putting themselves into a pretty good spot.
I just moused over it because I was curious, because it's looking like Broken Blade's doing a lot of damage in these fights. That Hammer Shock from Poppy at level 5 right now, if you hit with both parts, is doing about 250 damage plus 16% of your maximum health. That is incredible from a champion that is building full tank and itemizing super efficiently against the Cloud9 lineup. TSM feeling good about the outcome here so far, but Cloud9 will grab themselves a Cloud Drake. It's going to help them rotate around, and especially with a composition that wants to run a 1-3-1 style, wants to really dominate these side lanes, Cloud Drake could go a long way.
Yeah, and honestly, it's very concerning for C9 now, because if you fall behind against this type of a teamfight composition, it's not as though TSM don't have good forms of engage. You have Nautilus, you have the Sivir ultimate, you have Skarner as well, who can be looking for flash ultimates there. So there's so many ways for them to engage, and if you do get ahead, Poppy is going to be stacking armor. Turret dives become very trivial if your solo laners are not there to actually defend, and TSM are going to be able to try to force C9 to group up and actually match them. C9 is going to have to do a really good job of buying time for this Yasuo and for this Irelia to really scale up and get a lot of items before they become pretty relevant.
And now that the top lane tier 1 turret is down, you're going to see more rotations around the map as the teams look to find themselves some collapses, some opportunities. Bottom side, it's TSM who are looking around, prowling around with that vision, trying to make something happen, but Cloud9 has responded. It doesn't look like anybody's going to be baited into a trap just yet. Nisqy is making his way down through the river now to potentially join this fight if it pops off, but you can see on your screen the bottom lane story being told in the gold as Zven is 1,500 up over Nisqy.
Yeah, Nisqy way down on gold, and honestly is going to have a much harder job doing damage anyway when all of his opponents are going to be building probably a fair bit of armor. You know, so much armor already through here on the Poppy. The Seekers is already completed. They're going to drop Rift mid and look to crack this turret.
All right, Shelly summoned up. Turret at about 3/4 HP. That means one charge alone won't do it. It's going to need a couple more auto attacks. Shelly will get it low. They need to hit the eyeball at least once there, and Cloud9 will hold the line.
Yeah, so Cloud9 do hang on to that turret. Good job there, but you can see how TSM are going to be able to try to force them to kind of group and match, and I do think that is where TSM will look, trying to force around dragons, trying to force around potential barons, and make C9 come to you. The Poppy is just such a good option, for forcing these tower dives, because you're going to be stacking so much armor. It becomes, fairly trivial later in the game.
And it's not just armor that TSM are able to build. It's armor against auto attacks. A lot of champions can do plenty of physical damage, not necessarily with auto attacks, but with spells. You think of something like a Riven or something you would see in solo queue or maybe up against FlyQuest. But here, you're up against 3 champions in the Yasuo, the Irelia, the Varus, that do their damage through auto attacks. The Ninja Tabby doing so much work for such a small investment on the side of TSM and the champions like the Skarner, like the Poppy. Glacial Shroud in inventory for Broken Blade tells me, yup, it's Sunfire Iceborne. He's looking to continue smacking these guys around.
Yeah, and I think it's totally fair to also even go for a Frozen Heart. If you want to just 5v5, Frozen Heart I think is also incredibly effective. Iceborne certainly better for the dueling and more damage potential there, but if you're just looking to be a straight up kind of meatball in that front line, the attack speed reduction is really, really powerful for the same reasons that Tabby is.
All right, Svenskeren and Zeyzal in the river. TSM could potentially try to collapse here. Grig wants to capture the Spire. Skarner gets a ton of move speed, unlimited mana, and a ton of attack speed if he gets that, but he won't be able to quite secure it just yet. Grig does have the Flash and the Predator available with his ulti. Same can be fed for Svenskeren. Smoothie barely getting himself away there. Zven not quite finding the initiation he wants. Now having a flash out of the way. Broken Blade coming in. Cloud9's on the retreat. Grig not able to close the distance in time to get off a pull, but he doesn't need to. Tier 1 turret still the target here. TSM, one auto attack away from bringing it down.
Yeah, that is the whiff on the ultimate there from Svenskeren. They wanted to get that Gragas Yasuo combo out onto Smoothie and take him down. Not able to do so, and they lose their bottom tier 1 in the meantime. Now they're going to lose the mid tier 1. The last of the outers will fall, and TSM growing themselves a pretty healthy gold lead here.
I do got to give Smoothie credit for the flash, though. Not a complete whiff from Svenskeren. The aim was on point, but because Smoothie had the summoner spell, it was an easy escape for him to prevent that collapse. And now TSM go up to a 3-0 turret lead, a 2,500 gold advantage over their opponents. Let's take another look here.
Yeah, so here it is, just straight up whiff on the ultimate, then does actually flash the body slam, so a good flash from there, but no real reason to be missing that cask, or at least not be getting the flash from that. Then Svenskeren flashing in retreat. The Nautilus ultimate does get pulled through Zeyzal, so he has to flash an ult in retreat as well. It is the trade of a couple ultimates, but C9 down in summoners off of the play, and they were the ones looking to be proactive there. They were the ones looking to make something happen, and it did backfire.
Next Drake spawning in 15 seconds. Mountain number 1. TSM are the team that currently have control over the pit in terms of the Scuttle Crab, in terms of the Skarner point, and in terms of the vision. Zven trying to get himself away from Nisqy, who goes in. Then with a late spell shield there, just because he was trying to predict when the potential knockup would have come in from Nisqy. Didn't quite get it, but he gets out of the way of the tornado anyway. And now you'll see Cloud9 go up towards the top half of the map. Baron's going to be spawning here in about 15 seconds. But considering there's no option for them to try to sneak it fast this early into the game, TSM's pretty comfortable committing a couple guys towards the trade.
And TSM knows Cloud9 have no interest in team fighting them right now. They cannot approach that dragon and look for any sort of 5v5. He'll get destroyed. So, you know, really, TSM doesn't have to commit too much to taking this. They will be able to easily grab this, and that does increase the speed of their Baron take later on. Certainly something that C9 is going to have to be worried about. It's another area on the map that TSM can set up around and try to force C9 to come and answer. You can get to a situation later on where you're threatening to start that Baron and forcing C9 to come around. Then you just turn and look for a pick with Sivir, Skarner, Nautilus. That is such a powerful turn and fight from TSM.
TSM's AD carry is now on 2.5 items towards that 3-item power spike that Sivir really just comes online with. Looking across the table, Sneaky's got a Blade of the Ruined King and an extra recurve bow, but that is just not the same power level.
Yeah, I mean, he's 2k down because a lot of that turret gold has gone the way of Zven. He has the additional kill also, so you know he is the beneficiary of a lot of that extra gold injection, and with a PD this early on, that makes it even more difficult for these divers to actually one-combo him. That is really kind of what you're looking for if you did have to get to a team fight for C9. It feels like Yasuo, Gragas, Irelia must instantly kill that Sivir, but he's sitting on a stopwatch. He has a PD. He might even go GA next.
Yeah,
honestly, it's totally defensible because you don't need to maximize DPS against a team like C9 is running. You just need to survive the initial burst, and all the CC and kind of damage that's going to be coming out over time for TSM will likely win in that long run.
Nisqy not quite at that 2-item spike that'll give the Yasuo 100% crit chance just yet. Still going to be waiting to see that one. The other item that's jumping out to me from the inventories, if you look at Grig, has the Giant's Belt, meaning he's going to be going for one of those more big-ticket tank items. A lot of times you see Skarner go for the Righteous Glory. Sometimes if he's behind, he'll even go for the super budget option in the Knight's Vow. But this time around, he's saying, no thank you, sir. Just going to be another big meatball.
Yeah, I mean, I think Deadman's and Randuin's both great options here. You know, both incredibly effective. Deadman's a little bit more of the kind of aggressive option, the additional move speed for your engage, kind of helping out where you would normally have that Righteous Glory, but also Randuin's just always so good against Yasuo because it is that 100% crit on 2 items. You're going to be reducing an incredible amount of damage, and the reduced attack speed there, quite nice too. So we'll have to see what route he does end up taking, but you know, a lot of big items are coming through for TSM. You know, the Zonia's is now completed. You can see the Iceborne plus Sunfire done for Broken Blade. He is still going to be very happy in that 1v1 against Licorice. Let's see this play out.
Speaking of 1v1s against Licorice, Bjergsen finds himself on the
Here
losing
comes
end
Grig,
of
though.
one, but Grig has made his way into the fight now, going to be providing some backup, dragging his opponent around the corner so there's no escape, and that's going to turn it around for TSM.
Yeah, Licorice was winning that 1v1 against Bjergsen there, was doing a very good job, but Grig shows up, they get the easy kill, and no one is answering Broken Blade. So Broken Blade, with the sheen from the Iceborne, is going to be working away at this turret pretty quickly. It does really speed up that turret take for him. Poppy not normally very good at doing this, but not too hard when you have the Iceborne this early on, and now Wave's going to be pushed in bot side, they lose a turret top side, TSM winning across the map.
And this is the tails side of the coin we were talking about in Champion Select, the All-AD comp. But let's take another look at how Licorice almost won for 1v1.
Yeah, hits the initial stun, ultimate for the double Q reset. This stopwatch buying a lot of time, then able to flash out of the next Irelia stun, retreating back towards Grig. No chance for Licorice once he shows up, and the rest of the C9 squad were zoned out by some more TSM members, so they could not get in to actually help him out. But, Licorice is going to need to be able to make these sorts of plays. C9 needs to be winning 1v1s, 2v1s, 2v2s in the side lane, I feel like, to really have much of a hope in this game.
And you can see by Nisqy's build, he's going completely committed to the side lane with Bloodthirster being the second item, not immediately rushing for the 2-item crit, not going after that Infinity Edge for maximum DPS, instead wants to make sure he's able to sustain and duel in those side lanes. But Cloud9 is still pretty far behind here, it seems, as TSM will now abdicate control over the Baron pit.
Yeah, and Bloodthirster, especially alongside Conqueror, is going to make it so you can likely just out-heal most of what Poppy can do. In that sort of a matchup, it's certainly going to become hard for Poppy in an extended 1v1 to be able to get much done. So, as you say, it is more about that side lane play. But likewise, that is why TSM is setting up all this vision around the Baron. 3 pink wards in a line here. They are going to look to try to set up in this area, to try to set up around objectives. We have another dragon coming up, and TSM will just continue stacking up all of these neutral advantages that they can grab.
Top side, Broken Blade against Nisqy, 1v1 breaking out here as Broken Blade just denies him with a steadfast presence. Nisqy will not be able to continue this engage. Svenskeren can't come in and help, and Broken Blade walks away. Meanwhile, TSM the bottom side, another turret.
Exactly. Every time C9 goes for one of these punches, they're not able to teamfight, so they have to just move away from the TSM squad and give up pretty much whatever TSM wants to take. In this case, it is another turret. It's also going to very likely be a dragon, but TSM is trying to clear out C9 vision. They want to be able to be in a position where they can force C9 to face check into them, where they can get these sorts of engages around the Baron, force those team fights. For now, it's going to be about the mid lane control, though, as Zven is shoving this out. He did go for the IE third, going to be sitting on that stopwatch for now, but he is at such a strong point in the game, a full item ahead of Sneaky, and going to be really difficult to get on top of when you have to fight through Skarner, Sylas, Nautilus, and Poppy as these divers.
And I always think that it's pretty much never a wrong choice to wait to evolve the item while you still have the stopwatch.
Yeah, I think it's totally fine.
Such an incredibly useful single-use item. Yeah, once it's gone and you have that just piece of trash in your inventory that doesn't do anything, might want to upgrade that. But Sven's feeling just fine right now. Picks up the Ocean Drake now for his team. 2-1 Drake lead for the side of TSM. 5K up almost, couple hundred shy of that mark. But with Randuin's now completed under Grig, the front line continues getting tankier and tankier. Cloud9 still a way away from being able to break that. Titanic Hydra done for Licorice, though, means he's going to continue to be threatening in those side lanes. We've already seen that he can take down Bjergsen 1v1. But the question is, can you get those 1v1s? Because it's just not working out so far.
Yeah, the pace of the game is just so much in TSM's favor. C9 needs those types of plays. Like, this is why they're sending Sneaky down to try to collapse on Bjergsen. They need kills in the side lane to delay the game, to buy more time for them to try to pull something off. And he is going to go in. We'll see if they can catch Bjergsen. Nope. Not going to happen. So, C9 it's up to them to try to make these things happen because TSM has an uncontestable team fight. They are on the Baron. And now, this is what I was talking about earlier, C9 forced to come over here, and TSM can just turn and fight. You don't have to 50-50 this.
2 TPs coming in now as TSM will decide to go after the fight. Broken Blade, he's able to find the knockback on the enemy support. Now the fight's going to be breaking out. Nisqy into the back line, going to be suppressed, dragged backwards. Broken Blade's going to be killed off first. Cloud9's able to find themselves a fight. It's 2-0. They're looking to make it even more. Bjergsen's able to find himself a triple kill over to Bjerg. He will go down, but he will not go down without a fight. And Cloud9 looks for even more. Sneaky and Zeyzal pursuing Smoothie, looking to go even further underneath the turret. And Sneaky hits him with another arrow.
Incredibly well done there by C9. They actually come out on top in the 5v5. Such good job actually utilizing the wind wall as well as the unbreakable from Braum to deny a lot of the damage coming through from Sivir. And let's watch this one more time. So in comes the Irelia. I feel like TSM could have just kind of backed off and tried to hard commit to the side. They look for the Poppy ult. They do knock out the Braum immediately, and then they turn onto Licorice here, but Svenskeren ultimate hits 3 into the back line. The ult comes through from Yasuo, and that wind wall was just zoning Zven out the entire time. Through all of that CC, throughout all of the entire Skarner ultimate, Zven got no auto attacks off because of a great wind wall there from Nisqy, and that really was the game changer there, as Nisqy was able to be free firing, getting those auto attacks off, and despite the triple kill coming through from Bjergsen, it is C9 that get the extra kill and do kind of extend their lease on life in this game. You can see Nisqy now going to be building towards the IE, but TSM right back to the scene of the crime. They're on the Baron.
See if TSM can make this one work out better than last time.
Bjergsen's on the side.
Bjergsen, the man who was the hero for TSM in the last fight, as the Braum ultimate stolen in case he needs to disengage, trying to get himself away now. Nisqy looking to go for the solo ult. Bjergsen going to be taken down very low, not going to be killed off just yet. Cloud9 still looking to find themselves a fight. Broken Blade nearly taken down. He's isolated. He's out of there.
C9 are making it work in these team fights. It's so impressive. This is such a difficult team to actually fight into 5v5, but Cloud9 are making it happen. They now have control around the Baron. And they are not going to start it up just yet. They are just going to push out mid lane. We'll see if they want to try to force it, but it doesn't look like that'll be the case. But every time they get one of these kills, they're pulling closer in gold, but they're also buying more time for their split pushers, for these guys to build up in items and really get to a strong point in the game.
And we've all seen the solo queue Yasuo, 1-11, typing the 1v1 me bro in the all chat for the entire game. But if you goof around too much, if you let it get to 40 minutes, all of a sudden, this guy who's been a soup kitchen is going to actually threaten your best carry.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't matter what your score is. Once you get enough items, you can take down anyone. QSS has come through for both Sneaky as well as Nisqy, so more playmaking ability. They don't have to be as scared of this Skarner now. Sneaky is on 3 items here too. So certainly they are ramping up. IE will be coming in next for Nisqy, and that is where he is going to be absolutely terrifying.
And I make the comparison to the feeding solo queue Yasuo, but it's not like Nisqy's even behind.
No, he's doing very well.
He's 1, 2, and 4. He's even on CS. If you look at the farm, he is down about 1,500, but a lot of that is located in turrets and plates and similar global objectives acquired by TSM as a team. Nisqy's going to be very scary very soon. Once that IE is completed, Yasuo will shred these health bars.
And I'm honestly really surprised that we've seen TSM not able to win these team fights whatsoever. Cloud9 has just been playing it so well. They have done a good job buying time, from a deficit, and now they are the ones looking to perhaps set up a pick around the Baron. It is Broken Blade down in that bottom lane. He is pushing this out, so the 4-man squad from TSM has to be a bit on the defensive. And we'll see, is C9 just going to start the Baron, or are they going to answer? And it looks like the option for now is heading towards that Baron. I think they're going to start it up.
Right now, they're just baiting TSM in.
You got to do something. You either have to base or start the Baron. It's one or the other.
And here comes the decision. It is going after the Baron itself. Started up, but not going down exceptionally quickly. TP coming in. TSM looking to fight this one. Remember, it's TSM that have started off the past couple of fights, and it's TSM that have lost them. Chain of Corruption comes out, but it's not going to do a whole lot. That was Bjergsen's stolen ultimate from Sneaky.
Yeah, and that was really well done from C9. That's all you need to get is the TP off Broken Blade. As soon as he TPs, you just back off. They may lose their turret as a result, so TSM, getting the inner track on mid lane, that was well done, but, Nisqy going to get ulted out there by a stolen Gragas ult. So they do have TP advantage now. They're going to have the TP on Licorice earlier. Remember, Nisqy is running Ignite, not Teleport, so it is harder for him to be out in those side lanes, and that is why they're going to send Licorice. Bjergsen, his Teleport, going to be up shortly after Licorice's, but Cloud9 will reset, will try to get side lane pushing out, and then try to get vision once again around this Baron. So much of the game is going to depend on it. If Cloud9 are able to take it, the 1-3-1 becomes incredibly powerful. And likewise, if TSM grab the Baron, you just walk straight down mid lane with 5 members, and C9 can no longer really wave clear effectively against that.
And you can see all solo laners are level 16 now. Licorice actually checking level 17 here just a moment ago, but that means so much specifically for Bjergsen. The Sylas can now constantly steal ultimates. You've got a 12-second cooldown between them, just getting new ones, tossing them out there, get another one, toss it out there, and it gives him so much potential in these fights to have another pop-off moment, because honestly, the fight where they almost just got destroyed at Baron the first time could have been disastrous. It could have been game-losing if not for that triple kill you got.
Yeah, it certainly could have, and you have some pretty good ultimates to steal here. The Varus ultimate pretty solid, Braum, and and Gragas, those are okay. Gragas ultimate can be game-changing, so you certainly still have the ability to ult someone like Nisqy into the backline and try to take him out that way. That being said, it's always going to be more difficult to do that when you're up against a Braum who could actually block that ultimate from coming through.
Well, Cloud9 got the 1099s in. The taxes are paid. QSS for Nisqy and Sneaky. Svenskeren likely working on one of his own here. You can see the Null Magic Mantle in inventory. Means Grig's options are getting slimmer and slimmer as this game moves forward. Always a nightmare for Skarner when the enemy is close enough in gold and combat power to feel comfortable buying those QSSs. Smoothie Spider-Man's himself away from a potential engage as Licorice was looking on the flank there. Cloud9 so comfortable right now in this game. They were down 5,000 gold earlier. It seemed like TSM was always on the front foot, but ever since those two messes up there at the Baron, it's been Cloud9 that seemingly are back in the driver's seat.
Yeah, certainly the case, and they are getting closer and closer to this IE on Yasuo. I think they probably want to wait for this, but it looks like there's going to be a fight.
Nope, we got ourselves a fight, and that's going to be a big pull coming out from Grig onto Zeyzal, who's still somehow going to be kept alive, getting himself away. Svenskeren going to be fighting Bjergsen off the side. Grig going to be killed now by Cloud9. Licorice taken very low into the back line. He goes. Not quite able to find the damage onto Zven, who goes on a killing spree, killing that enemy top laner. Svenskeren into the hourglass, not going to be kept alive too much longer, except he will. It's a kill for Broken Blade onto Zeyzal. TSM's got a quadra. TSM is marching down mid lane, and I think that's the game.
That should be it. TSM, the quadra kill onto Zven. They can close this one out. The respawn timer's far too long, it looks like, on C9.
415 CS Sivir win condition. That's all you need. 5 items in the inventory, pair of boots on your feet, and some boomerangs into Cloud9, and TSM are on to Nexus turrets. 10 seconds left before even Zeyzal comes up. There is no way to defend this one. And against many people's expectations, TSM will take down Cloud9 yet again.
A very well-played game here from TSM. Drafted a simple win condition. They do get that team fight in the end. And it's through this engage, actually onto the Braum, where Braum actually survived and they still come out on top. Zven very effective in that team fight. This felt like the first 5v5 where Zven was really able to get a lot of autos off and start to really feel that power of the late game Sivir. He was sitting on full build, and also a critical play from Broken Blade. Getting that stun onto Nisqy against the wall meant that you were never going to be able to turn around and actually finish off Zven, who was at fairly low health.
That game was a little bit of a roller coaster. TSM in control early on. We saw Broken Blade getting solo kills. We saw things going their way. The Baron fights changed the story. TSM not quite as in control as they thought they were when Cloud9 could fight back and win those fights. But sometimes one team fight is all you need to end the game. And TSM found it. Zven popping off, like you said. There were so many ways to deny his damage between Braum and Yasuo and all these other tools drafted by Cloud9. But when those tools aren't available, Sivir pops off.
Yeah, certainly the case. And I mean, the fact that they engaged onto Braum and Braum was immediately back out of the fight. The Unbreakable was not going to be there to actually stop a lot of the Sivir damage. That gave that window for Zven to actually get a lot of the damage out. But I have to say, I was surprised that C9 were sticking so heavily around, looking, potentially for that 5v5. There was 5 members mid. Maybe they felt they had to answer TSM in that mid lane, but Licorice had his teleport back. He could have been back into the side lane. They could have tried to buy a little bit more time for Yasuo to get his IE, which would have been a huge power spike. But in the end, it's TSM that finds the engage and takes the win.
Well, TSM puts another one in the victory column here against Cloud9 today, but now let's send it down to Riv, who's standing by with Bjergsen.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. I am joined by TSM's mid laner after their victory. A pretty tough fought game. First off, what was the game plan coming to today, knowing it was going to be a difficult one?
C9 changes up their drafts quite a lot. They ended up going for the Gragas Yasuo again today, like they did yesterday, but they've been doing a lot of different things throughout the day, so it was kind of hard to anticipate what they were going to do exactly, because it doesn't always, it's not just one pattern of drafting, so we just kind of had to be open to whatever came our way, and I think that we adapted really well in the draft this time, and we had a good early game. The mid game was pretty shaky. I think that we got a little bit overconfident and excited that we were ahead and tried to kind of snowball the game faster than we needed to do it. And we could have played a bit smarter, but it was a good game regardless.
Awesome insight into that game. Bjergsen, I have to ask you, a lot of times we hear your peers talking you up. You've made quite a name for yourself. Coming into this game, Licorice said, even in your last playoff match, that you're not supposed to be able to do the things that you do sometimes, like you did on Akali to change the series. How do you handle these expectations in game that sometimes if the team underperforms, people expect you to overperform?
it doesn't bother me too much because I expect that of myself as well. I expect myself to be able to carry my teammates if they have a down game, whether it's carrying them in communication and kind of picking them up if there's things that they aren't saying, or in mechanical play and making up for it in better team fighting, laning, etc. So, I mean, I've been playing for so long, and I have played with these expectations for so long that I don't think about it too much anymore. But yeah, I'm grateful for all the fans that come out and support us and scream my name when I walk on the stage. Yeah, I appreciate it a lot. Thank you, guys.
Bjergsen, thank you so much. Congratulations on the win. Let's throw it back to the State Farm analyst desk to break that down.
Thank you very much, Riv. It's TSM who comes out on top over Cloud9 this time around. And as Bjergsen mentioned, it's never an easy task to go into the draft phase against this Cloud9 roster because we know Reaper is comfortable, as well as the players themselves, drafting any which direction and to keep you on your toes. You add into that the substitution of Blabber yesterday, Svenskeren coming back in. They do, however, decide to opt for that Gragas Yasuo one more time.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like they're talking up, oh, you know, C9 is so flexible. It's like, well, what about you guys? Bjergsen finally plays Sylas. He's playing a hard carry again, and then they get double banned in the top lane with carries that you expect Broken Blade to play, and then he's on Poppy. So, like, they also are pretty flexible in the draft.
Yeah, and I was happy to see that because it's situations like this where you need that flexibility to see, oh, Irelia and Yasuo early lock-ins in the first round of drafting. Those are both AD solo threats, so put him on a tank, and they'll have someone who can build armor really easily.
And it's unfortunate for Nisqy that, once again, he's always in that kind of, like, I'll fill out the team comp, and so they go for one of the better AP threats from the bot lane, or, excuse me, magic damage threats, but they're so far behind in terms of damage profile against a team that can stack armor in a Skarner, Poppy, and Nautilus quite well. So come teamfight phase, it did feel like TSM was going to win this game.
Yeah, I will say that there are more things in the game now that make it easier for, you know, single damage type teams to actually succeed. Conquer, true damage conversion, you know, Yasuo gets armor penetration on his ultimate. Those types of things do help. But they still have to be really well executed to come back against a team that does have multiple tanks that are stacking armor.
And of course, it would help to avoid deficits in the early game, but it was the early game.
That would help.
Right? I mean, hey, it's a big aspect of the C9 composition that yesterday they were able to pick up those early leads. This time around, it was a lot more back and forth between the squads.
This is exactly what we were hoping for when we were talking about the mid lane matchup, that we get to see those 1v1s break out. It did start focusing a little bit more on the top half of the map. You know, Broken Blade able to find that 1v1 kill out of nowhere was huge. And this is kind of what we were talking about with, you don't want to fall behind with C9's comp, and after that first blood, they still had to keep forcing these plays around, but they were usually getting answered pretty well by TSM.
Yeah, this one was really well played by the bottom lane. TSM go for the dive. Nisqy flashes super far out of range so that he can pivot and turn around with the arrow to get a counter kill. This is the top side attempt at a turn, but Bjergsen has stopwatch there. He's able to avoid it. TSM make that big play. This is the turning point for the entire game. Bjergsen in his interview was talking about, yeah, our big early lead. This was where that lead all came from. They absolutely wiped them on the top side of the map. And that determined the next, like, 10 minutes of the game.
Right, the majority of the clips before that were one-for-one trades, or, you know, okay, successful gank here on this side, but then it goes back the other way on the other side. That was a clear victory for TSM. It's what kind of put Broken Blade in a position that he could stack armor just enough to be able to survive and be a threat in those side lanes.
And that's why we were so excited for this game, was because killing the top lane, killing the bot lane, all these dives happening, and there's such well-balanced teams where they have carry threats and playmakers in almost every single lane and position that, like, you get early games like that, and eventually someone will come out ahead, and it was TSM in that early game.
Yeah, and I just have to say, too, it was really interesting how Cloud9 were able to find their targets, because the other way around these armor stacking teams is to get around the people with armor, literally.
Get to the back line.
Gragas ultimate, this long range, you know, pass to Yasuo for the alley-oops was effective multiple times, you know, finding the carries past the tanks.
Right. Again, going into the mid game, we did see an example from two of our top teams in the league of how regardless of gold lead, both aren't willing to surrender, right? Cloud9 kept that fight going. They were able to make some macro moves to contest TSM at times, but ultimately, as you mentioned, Mark, when you get into the later stages of the game, it will come down to a team fight, and it will come down to one team outperforming the other.
Yeah,
in this case, TSM.
C9 did a great job of hanging in this game despite falling behind early, but they never found that big team fight. Maybe they should have forced that Baron a little earlier off one of their other good plays, but this mid lane skirmish, the problem is eventually Zven will do so much more damage than Nisqy as he has frontline members to hit, and he does a good job stepping forward here. Low HP, has the shield that's going to proc and continue to walk forward and find these cleanup kills. You know, he did play that Sivir pretty aggressively to walk into the middle of the enemy team like that. And
once again, props to Broken Blade. In this one, he hits Nisqy with the Poppy ultimate, meaning there's a huge DPS difference,
Drop
right?
off, yeah.
The Varus has to, resack up, come back in and rejoin, and it allows more time for the Sivir team to actually work.
Because that was still a scary fight for TSM. Midway through that fight, when you see there's kind of like that moment of pause between the teams before they decide to re-engage. Health bars are actually lower on the side of TSM. It's that intelligent step up from Zven there to output the damage that really turns the tides. From there, they grab victory. So again, we look at a TSM that is ramping up into the summer split after a somewhat disappointing week one. We expected them to come out hot the way they finished the spring split. And Grig is the guy who was at the helm of the jungle here 2 games in a row on this weekend for TSM.
This was the game that was most reminiscent of their playoff form in terms of the level of aggression and activity. Even in the game yesterday, that was a very clean win. It was still more about slow macro play with that split pushing ADTF. So I was very excited to see, even though he was on Poppy, Broken Blade was looking for his own plays, which is something that feels like it had been missing.
Yeah, it was definitely an exciting game. I know the fans are always happy when it's a TSM Cloud9, and they say every single time that it doesn't disappoint, but they keep on delivering here. Definitely action-packed early.
I mean, I loved hearing Riv ask the question to Bjergsen around the idea of being able to achieve things that other players simply don't seem to be able to achieve on the stage, or to find those openings at different moments. You'll remember the Baron play where he gets the triple kill and was a large factor into why that didn't go horribly wrong for TSM. What do you think it is? I mean, I know it's entirely speculation, but what is it about this player that he sees or makes things happen that seem impossible to everyone else?
For me, I think it's his level-headedness. Like, he is such a motivated, dedicated, intelligent player as he goes through things. So when he gets into pressure situations, he never seems to panic. He never seems to choke. Whereas some other great players sometimes have that really off game where they look terrible. He almost never has those.
Yeah, I mean, he talked about it a little bit in the review, but he's so used to it now. When he came over to North America, he was instantly #1 mid laner, and he's been the #1 mid laner for so many years that it does feel like there shouldn't, the pressure's not really going to be there, because he's like, yes, I am.
At a certain point, everyone else's expectation just became his reality.
It's like, yeah, okay, I'm used to it.
Yeah, very much so. Well, there it is, ladies and gentlemen. TSM pick up a huge victory over C9 here. Our next matchup, though, features Huni and Viper squaring off in the top lane. If you want to track that 1v1 down to every CS, pick up your subscription of ProView. Take a look at the upgraded viewing experience and meet us back here after this.